Quran. The topic, like I said, is the unchallenged Quran. Now, you can't challenge the Quran. The Quran is just there. The challenge is being thrown out. Those who read the Quran, they know what kind of challenge is it that Allah have put out there. So we term this topic today the unchallenged Quran, because it has so much information, historical references that is actually nowhere to be found. The Quran have, you know, the miracle of numbers, the miracle of calculus, you know, the miracle of beauty, of eloquence, and the mathematical miracle, you know, business type miracle, financial miracle, you know, worship, the way we worship, the mode of worship in Islam is a miracle by itself. Don't you see that? A lot of people spend a lot of money, you know, going to the gym, trying to lose some weight. And back in the States, according to what I know so far, according to our understanding and research, people spend close to $5 billion every year on gym, on having personal trainers to train them on certain aspect of losing weight and losing the limb and making this and that. You know, especially the rich and the famous, man, they spend a lot of money. They have special trainers, which some pay up to, you know, $1,000 an hour with his trainer. Some up to $2,000 an hour. Some even charge $5,000 an hour. Yes, $5,000. You be like, what? How? I'm not gonna give my 20 cedis an hour. Yes, but somebody's paying 5,000 because that person is loaded. The person is making money by the second. As you sitting down, me sitting down, idling, wasting our time. This guy, even if they are sleeping, some business moguls, Wall Street moguls, business tycoon, if they go to sleep, they made money going to sleep. Because every second, the mechanism that makes them money is pumping money into their coffers. So they don't care to part with $10,000 per hour. I mean, if this guy comes to his house, his gym, he got everything, self-made gym. So he spent about $1,000 or $2,000 an hour. It's nothing. It's like you having, you know, 1,000 Ghana and you give somebody 1 city, you know? So that's how it sounds. Now you're thinking, well, I don't have that money. How can I give? Yeah, you might be in a position, you know, like these people having all this money. So taking $1,000 is nothing. And that's what I'm saying. So people spend a lot of money, but we the Muslims are asked not to withhold the money so much that it's going to cause you a problem the day of Qiyamah. And the money is going to bear witness to you that you didn't spend it the way Allah wants you to spend it. And don't give it too much that your hand is going to be all out and you're going to end up not having enough to take care of yourself and the family. Don't do that. The Quran gave you an idea or, you know, an advice to seek the middle course. Don't hold so that people will blame you, and don't give so much that you will be in trouble financially yourself. Seek the middle course. Islam is all about the middle course, and that is what Islam is all about. And so therefore we name or we term this topic today the unchallenged Quran. Okay, now the first item on the table that I'm going to pass across is the mystery of the ocean. Yes, Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, the huge rivers, Mississippi River, whatever river that you know, Mediterranean Sea. These are big, big seas, huge, big, but there's so much mystery in them that we don't even know. And to know that, you have to be qualified. In other words, you have to be a marine scientist, someone who specializes on the ocean, anything that talks about the ocean. Study the water. Some waters are blue, some red, some greenish, some whitish, some yellowish, some reddish, some in between. Juxtapose all these colors together. You have different. Why is it that they form or formulate different, colors? Why is it that the wave is going on the water that you see? Moj, you see the wave going on. Why is it that some water or some ocean and sea and rivers, some are very, very heavy, so heavy. Yes, some are very light. Some are salty, Some are fresh water, palatable, that you could drink, no problem. And different type of water, different way, the capillary movement, you know, the speed and the wavering and on and on and on. There's just so much, but you have to be a scientist who specializes on, according to what we understand about rivers or deep ocean, the current that goes through and the way the water moves from the shoreline into the peninsula, stuff like that. We come to understand today that there are some current in the depth of the ocean that causes the ocean in the deep of the water to build a wave. The wave that we can see. Big rivers, oceans, there is a wave going down deep in the ocean, but we can see up to 1,500 meters deep in the ocean. This wave is taking place, but you don't see that. Don't you see the wave when you go to the ocean? You go to Labadi Beach right now. You see the wave is building. People surf on it. We got specialists who specialize on water, you know, playing. They call surfers. They surf on the water. That's the second wave. Without the wave that is curving out, you can surf. So we see the one that comes on top of the, you know, ocean. But there's another one that I'm mentioning in the depth of the ocean, which I cannot see. And before you see that, you have to go deep over 1,500 meters. No human being will be able to dive deep over 1,500 meters without any submarine technology. You need a guided equipment on your nose and all this thing that gives you, you know, energy, and it gives you, you know, oxygen and stuff like that. 1,500 meters? How? Where? When? Who? You can do that. The best, or the, you know, the experienced, the most experienced surfer might go maybe 200 feet, maybe 200 meters. He could go deep and come out, submerged, without breathing. There is a way that they do. They're qualified, you know, personality. They do that. We don't have any problem with them. But generally, before you see the first wave that is in the depth of the ocean, you have to be there, but you can't just go there because of the current. To be able to steady the movement of the water, the current of the water, the diversion of different soluble, you know, the chemistry that's in the water is so unbelievable, so unfathomable that we can't even quantify. But those who specialize on the ocean do go there. But you know what? They go with the submarine. When submarine was created in the early 40s, you know, late 30s, 1930s to the early 40s, it was meant to study the seabed, understand what is on the seafloor. So by doing that, they were able to stumble on, you know, planes or ships that have gone wreck in the depth of the ocean. So they use it as, okay, we're going to study the seafloor. At the same time, we have some richness. People, you know, a lot of ships have just lost. So they see and they begin to look for money and currency and gold and all this kind of stuff. And then eventually it turns into studying the seabed. Then they realize that there is oil also in the depth of the ocean. We'll be dealing with that in my other segment, the oil in the ocean. How come oil's in the ocean and it's like liquid? So how do we do that? We'll be dealing with that. But this is what happened. So they begin to study the seafloor, and eventually it becomes known to them that there is a huge current that causes a wave in the depth of the ocean, which no human being will be able to see. And it's so dark. The darkness is layer. We have layer and then layer, another layer. It's about a lot of different layers. The more you go beyond 2,000 meters, the more it becomes so dark. Some of the darkness in the depth of the ocean, if you have the biggest, you know, football, soccer field lights, flood light, you take it down there, it's still going to be dark. That is how dark the place is. I can't even describe the darkness, because on earth it will be difficult to find that same kind of darkness. It is so dark beyond your imagination. Why? Because they study the red spectrum light. The more it shifts to a different variant light, the more scientists calculate and see that there are different, layers in terms of darkness. So the more you go, the more it becomes dark and dark and dark and dark, and it's so dark. But all these areas of that causes that darkness in the depth of the ocean, you can see that, I can see that, and you can go there. Even look, the most experienced, like I said, surfer would go no more than 200 feet. But to go beyond 1,500 meters, it is absolutely impossible. You can't go there without any aid of, to protect you. But Allah uses the mystery and the miracle and the unchallenged aspect of Quran is that it makes mention of the depth of the ocean, knowing full well that the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not a seaman, nor was he, a marine engineer, nor has he ever delved deep into the ocean. He never crossed the ocean in his life. Rivers and gulfs, maybe. There is no proof even with that. He lived in the thickest depth of the desert, far removed from the ocean. And there is no historical record that the Messenger Muhammad ever crossed the ocean. It is not there. Yet, the information given about the whole story that I've just given you is beyond our rationale. So the question becomes, how could he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in his own mind at the time that he existed, be able to understand the mysteries and the mechanism in the depth of the ocean? You tell me, how did he get to know that? Because there is no way possible for him, even if, okay, let's say he dipped himself in the ocean, even if he did, you can see that. But can you go more than 200 meters without any submarine? 300? How about 1,000? How? You would die. Impossible. Suffocation. But listen to the Quranic ayah that dealt with this story that is untold for many years in the depth of the ocean. Allah said, Allah uses the life of the unbeliever to give us a scenario of what is happening in the depth of the ocean. So Allah said, أَوْ كَالظُّلُمَاتُ فِي بَحَرٍ لُجِيٍّ يَكْشَاءُ مَوْجٌ مِنْ فَوْقِهِ مَوْجٌ مِنْ فَوْقِهِ سَحَابٌ ظُلُمَاتٌ بَعْضُهَا فَوْقَ بَعْضٍ إِذَا أَحَدَ يَدَهُ لَمْ يَكَدْ يَرَاهَا. Allahu Akbar. Allah said, the life of the unbeliever, or the skin of the unbeliever, is so dark like the depth of the ocean, where there is a wave on top of it, another wave on top of it, the sky. Did you see the mystery? The Quran mentioned two types of wave. Mawjun min fawqihi mawjun min fawqihi sahabun. Wave on top of another wave, then the sky is above. Now, the first wave, mawjun, that we cannot see. Min fawqihi mawjun, that's the second wave which we can see only if we go to the seashore. You go to Labari Beach, Cape Coast Beach, you will see the second wave. Mawjun, we don't see that one. Min fawqihi, on top of it, mawjun, second mawj. So Quran mentioned two type of mawj, waves. We see the second one when we go to the ocean, or we watch on television if they are showing oceanic currents, then we see the second one. And then on top of it, the sky, meaning there's no any other wave beside the second one. It's going to be the sky. So how could the Messenger Muhammad knows that it is two types of wave? Meanwhile, he's never been in the depth of the ocean. How? Where? When there's not a single hadith or any report from the enemy or the Muslims themselves that the messenger have traversed the ocean, went to different oceans. Where? How? It's not there. Yet this man gave us information about the depth of the ocean. Scientists are late. And there is a professor by the name Professor Jean Cousin. He's a Frenchman. By virtue of being given the verses of the Quran that deals with marine science, because he's a marine scientist. When he was his own brother, Maurice Bucaille, who's also a French surgeon, gave him verses of the Quran. After Maurice Bucaille became a Muslim, he gave verses of the Quran to one of the best celebrated personality in terms of marine science. They gave it to him. Look at what the Quran have said about your discipline, your specialty. He looked at the verses, the translation, and he said, who told Muhammad this? They said, Muhammad, he lived in the 7th century. He said, well, I know, but the information is so, it's like, so beautifully said. How did he know? He said, well, you tell me. He lived in the Arabian desert, not even close to a river, in the depth of the desert, far removed. So how could he? He said, but when was this given? He said, well, it's about 7th century. It's 1,439 years ago. Wallahi al-Adin, Jean Cousin became a Muslim. He became a Muslim. Jean Cousin. Check him on internet. Or if you know what I'm talking about, you would understand. This guy is deep when it comes to science of marine. Then the Quran said, Zulumatum ba'aduha fawqa ba'adun. Darkness upon darkness again. And that is exactly how science have given us the understanding of the depth of the ocean. The darkness increases as the spectrum light moves away from the other brilliant light. Spectrum light, it has 7 different variant lights. So each and every one of them is giving us a different dimension of darkness. So why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why would Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam know in his mind the skin of the unbeliever or the life of the unbeliever is like that of the depth of the ocean? It's so dark, like the depth of the ocean, where there is a wave on top of it, another wave on top of it, the sky. But he mentioned dark. I don't know if it's dark because I've never been there. With all our sciences today and technologies, we are people that are scientists, but they are not scientists based upon their discipline. That's what they are. But Muhammad is talking about all aspects of science. Have you noticed since we've been doing this tafsir on science of the Quran, on Marhaba FM, have you noticed that we've mentioned more than, I don't know, 40 so far or 50 different sciences? Some we didn't even touch because we can. The time allocated is not even enough. There are just so many sciences. We have so far over 500 different sciences in the Quran. Some have come to pass. Some are waiting to come to pass. And you can't tell me it is a chance. It just happened by accident. What is the chances where accident happen at the same time, concurrently, all the time? If I have, write something on a small sheet of paper, I have small sheet of paper, about 1,000 of them, and I write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 1,000. Then I roll it up like this, and I put it in a jar, huge jar. I wrote 1, squeeze it, put it in 2, up to 1,000. Then I ask you to pick for me number 3 in the jar, in the midst of other, mystery fold-ups. You put your hand. What are the chances that you would get the number right after I have put it in, shake it in, mix it up? Can you pull number 3? You can. The chances is far removed from you picking number 3. What about pick number 7 or number 10, any number? But the Quran concurrently is on the dot, picking the right science to mention in the Quran. At the same time, when science didn't know about it, so each and every science the Quran is mentioning is in concert or in consonant with the current information we have or we know about that particular science. Knowing full well that this personality, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was unlettered, never gone to school. The Quran said, وَمَا كُنْتَ تَتْلُو مِنْ قَبْلِهِ مِنْ كِتَابٍ وَلَا تَخُطُّهُ بِيَمِينِكَ إِذًا لَارْتَابَ الْمُبْطِلُونَ. You, Muhammad, are not in the habit of writing with your own hand because you don't write. You can't write. Nor did you ever go to somewhere to read and write and learn. Had it been you've done all these things, Muhammad, those your adversaries will have reason to doubt your Quran, meaning you haven't read before, you haven't learned before, and no one is there is no earthly teacher for Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His teacher is Allah. So Allah said, Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran, halaka al-insan allamahu al-bayan. Muhammad was the first teacher. His first teacher is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he became a teacher, teaching mankind. So now it is up to the scientists to account for these facts. How could he have known this key information that is so consistent with marine engineering? We have a man in America, Professor Johnson. Professor Johnson is a special advisor to ex-American President Jimmy Carter on marine expedition. And he wrote a beautiful book by the name, The Mysteries of the Deep. Now in that book, he make mention about the same information that I'm just telling you right now. And the book became a bestseller because of his eminence and position. But all the information he mentioned is already in the Quran. That's what Allah said. Men of knowledge, O Muhammad, they will come eventually, and they will prove that you are on the right track, and that it is Allah who taught you this bit and pieces of this information. How could you have known this in the Arabian desert when nobody have that inkling or even any speck of knowledge concerning the marine science? So that is for you to think about the Quran and to reflect upon the verses and the ayat. Now, there is one aspect of science also, which is a mystery, a puzzle to scientists, which has become unchallenged again, is the speed of the angels. How fast are they? Yes, the angels. There was a time a young man said, Sheikh Muhammad Awal, I have a concern. I was told that it's the angel of death. He's the one. It's only one. He asked me, how many angels of death do we have? I said, just one. Malak al-Maut. He said, okay, if he is only one who is responsible for taking our life at a time that Allah asked him to do, how many people do we have in this world? I said, well, we have close to 7 billion people on the earth right now as we speak. He said, okay, but in Ghana, for instance, how many people died? I say, on the average, I don't really know. It depends on the nation and the war area and the disease areas and those countries that are prone to having certain diseases and, ailments and things that causes their death. So we can't record a specific number for nation. It is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who causes people to die at the time that he has allocated for them. So now he said, okay, if the angel of death is in Ghana here, people die by accident. Maybe somebody died there. The car have an accident. Tamale, Sekendi, Dakradi, I didn't mention Cape Coast. So what happened then? How did the angels manage to take the life of the people, about maybe 500 in the car, 200 here, 400, all over the world? How does it do that? And it happens instantaneously. So he's like, in a limbo. He can't figure it out. So he wants to know. And I said, it's simple. And he was like, what do you mean it's simple? People dying all over the world at the same time. How does the angel go here, go over there and, take their life? All right. Allah gave us an idea in the Quran of how the speed of the angels is. It is up to us to put one and one together and to come to conclusion as to how fast do the angels go. Speed or time with Allah is relative. Allah does not need time. He is time. Everything is encapsulated in the creation of Allah, which causes time also was created. So you can't give time to Allah. He does things without measurement of time, even though for us we need that time. So he make it available for us so we can calculate and use the time to the best of our interest as we live in this dunya. That's Allah for you. Now, What is the speed of the angel? In the Quran, Surah Al-Ma'arij, I believe, there is this ayah. As I'm reading the ayah, I want you to reflect with me. Allah said, يَحَرُجُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَرُوحُ إِلَيْهِ فِي يَوْمِ كَانَ مِقْدَارُهُ 50,000 سَنَةً. The angels traverse according to what Allah have asked them to do. What we do as humans, this ayah, in 50,000 years, the angels do that in a day. One day, we do the same, whatever they're doing in a day, 24 hours, we do it 50,000 years with all our time gap, measurement, our computer, our aeroplane, the time that whatever we can do in 50,000 years, the angels do it in a day. You see, for us to know the distance or the speed of the angels, we have to change the day to, because he mentioned the day. And in a day, we calculate in a year. That of the human beings, what we do in 50,000 years, Allah gave us that time dilation in a year form, 50,000 years. So we have to change the speed of the angels from a day to years. And to do that, we have to multiply 24 hours, which is a day. Now you have to multiply 24 hours times 365 days. 24 hours times 365 days. If you get whatever number you get, you multiply it by the speed by 50,000 years. Whatever number you have, you multiply it by the speed set up by mankind today. Whatever our speed, the highest rim of our speed is 186.3 thousand miles per second. So if you multiply 24, times 365, whatever number you have, you multiply it by times 186.3 thousand miles per second. So at the end, you have 162,936,000 per second. That is how fast the angels activate. With this given number, they can do anything. 162,936,000 and even more. With this speed that happens in a second, that is what they can do in a second. In a second. So if they are doing it in a day, you multiply it again by 24 hours. So the number keeps compounding. The mystery of the fact that, how is it that people die all over the world is just one angel. Man, it's easy for him. It's like you saying 1, 2. It's done deal. It's kun fayakun. We should put it on the spiritual level. It's kun fayakun. To Allah, it's easy. You remember the speed of the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam? He was sitting down in his, palace. Then the angel of death used to visit him, and they have a dialogue. Sometimes the angel of death just kind of be in the form of human being, and he go to the to messengers and prophets. So he was there with him, Sulaiman alayhi salam. Then another friend of Sulaiman alayhi salam came into the palace. So they were sitting down, 3 of them. The man didn't know that it was the angel that was sitting down, but Solomon or Sulaiman, he knows. Then all of a sudden, the angel of death kept looking at this guy, the guy that just came. He kept looking at him. The angel kept looking at him, sternly looking at him, like looking at him. He wouldn't take his eyes off him. So the man became agitated and he told Suleiman, I don't like this guy, man. I don't like this guy. He's been staring at me, you know, very tense. I don't feel comfortable. Suleiman, I know you have the power to remove me from here. Take me to India. So he mentioned a long distance place. Take me to India. I don't want to see this guy. So now, Suleiman did the bid of that person, his friend. He did it to him and he removed him because Suleiman remind you, he have a powers Allah have given him. وَلِسُلَيْمَانَ رِيحًا عَاصِفَةً تَجْرِي بِأَمْرِهِ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ بَارَكَنَا فِيهَا. Allah have given the power of the wind and the speed to do whatever he want to do with it. So he took this man, or he allowed him through his powers to go to as far as India, for example. The angels was looking at that man, not because of anything, because in the book of record in front of him, this man is supposed to die in a few seconds in India, but this man is sitting in Palestine. That's why he's looking at him. So the angel was demystified. How could this man just go to Palestine before I go to India, for example, before I take his soul? So as Solomon transposes this guy to India, the angel is there already. While the angel is there, he saw the man right where he was supposed to be, and he took his life. Isn't that fascinating enough? All these things are time dilation. Time is not constant in one place to another place. It's relative. Time is relative. So here you have the speed of light. Could the messenger have known this information? It is impossible. Whatever he said came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever he said was a dictation by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what makes the Quran unchallenged. And Allah have promised Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and us the Muslim, inna nahanu nazzalna zikra wa inna lahu lahafizun. We are the ones that send down this criteria. The Quran is used as a zikra, reciter, because we read the Quran all the time. Inna nahanu nazzalna zikra wa inna lahu lahafizun. And it's us who will protect it. The Quran is protected. According to this verse, Allah have protected it. But let me explain this thing. Why is it that Allah said, Inna nahanu? It is we who send down the Quran. And it is for us to protect it. Why the we and the us? This question comes to me all the time. I think since I'm on this platform, I might as well explain it to people to understand the use of we and us in the Quran. You know, in the Semitic language is the Hebrew language, the Ethiopian language, the Armenian language, the Aramaic language, and the Arabic language, the Phoenician language. These are the language of, you know, Semitic language, the Semitic language, because they came from one of the sons of Nuh alayhi salam. His name is Shem. So those who came under him, according to the genealogy, we call them the Shemites, Semites, anti-Semites. We Muslims cannot be anti-Semites because Muhammad is a Semite. In this language, they have different types of plurals. They have plural of respect, plural of numbers, and then the singular plural at the same time. Like, for example, if I say, oh, Mr. Tijani, Ahmed Tijani, do you guys still sell the Quran in your shop? Look at how I ask you, Mr. Tijani, or Mr. Ibrahim, or Hajia Maryam, or Hajia Hafsa, or Hajia Lantana, or Hajia whoever. Mr. Muhammad, Mr. Ibrahim, do you still sell Quran in your shop? If you don't have it, what do you say? You say, oh, we don't sell it no more. You don't say, I don't sell it no more. It doesn't sound good. It is not how we speak. I just ask you, as a person, do you still sell the Quran? He said, no, we don't sell that no more. We are short of the Quran. We. Who is that we? That is the plural of respect. Plural of respect, because you can say, oh, I don't sell it no more. You could say that, but it doesn't sound right. You know, It doesn't sound right. Grammatically, you don't use that word. You say, oh no, well, we are out of stock. We are out of supply. We don't have it no more. Well, oh, we stopped selling it long time. That's how you say. Meanwhile, I ask you, do you, talking about the person, referring that you to you, do you sell it? You say, no, we don't sell it anymore. That's the type of we that the Semitics have recognized. The Quran have that type of we, plural, of respect. Then we have another type of plural of majesty or majesty. Today, if you go to England, every summertime, the Queen of England, she comes to the lower House of Commons and she delivers some lectures. And in that talks to the state of England, the Great Britain, she comes and gives talks. And she said in her talks, we are declaring this year to be so and so, whatever that is that they declare. Or we are handing out the new legislation so that the parliament might sit upon it and come to conclusion as to how best to implement this law. Do you hear what she was saying? She said, we. Who is that we? That's a royal we. She can't say, I am sent. No. We. That is the royal we. Even in the Hausa language, sometimes we said, Ayibuga ball. Shesu Polo, Ayibuga Ball, Shesu Razak, Shesu Mama Aqua, Shesu. Who is that? You know we have one Mama Aqua, we have one Razak, we have one Abedi Pele. Ayibuga Ball, Shesu Abedi Pele. He didn't win the game. Shesu Abedi Pele. So Abedi Pele, that is the plural of respect. You're using plural to him when he was a single person. The same thing Allah, in his power, he's using the royal we. He said, we are the ones that send down the Quran. And it is for us to protect it. Both sides is using plural of majesty. So if you and I could use we to ourselves, how about Allah? That we is not saying Allah is more than one. No. You have to understand the implication of the lexical connotation of the Arabic language. So people just come outside and say, oh, the Quran says we, us, you know, Allah is more than one. No, Allah is one. Because over there Allah says, Surah Al-Ikhlas, Allah said, Qul huwallahu ahad. Say, the Lord is one and only. That oneness have no division. One in a whole, Allah is one. He's got no rival on any side, any angle. You can rival Allah. So, Qul huwallahu ahad. That is the royal we. That is the royal we that Allah is talking about. So for those of you who wants to know about why the Quran, Allah is using the term we and us, this is why. The Arabic language is very rich, so very rich. It's unbelievable. Allah chooses this language to be the language of revelation. The language, it encapsulates so many different dialects in that language. It has so many different dialects from different tribes, from different Semitic undertone. Ancient language. Allah mixed this language to become an Arabic language. Arabic language is very rich. And if you understand the language, the language is so beautiful, it conveys just exactly what Allah wants us to know using the Arabic language. The Arabic language is unchallenged in any language. There is a lot of deficiency in so many languages. There is one book you should get, Lisan al-Arabiya. It gives you an indication. It's like a compendium that somebody wrote. It's like a kamus, sort of like a dishta, which gives you beautiful statement in the lexical Arabic language. And if you use the Quranic language, it then becomes superior compared to the spoken Arabic language. So if there's any faults in your language and my language, the deficiency must be right there. But in the Arabic language, it has no deficiency. Allah chooses that language to be the language of revelation. That is why the Arabs back in the days, Even up to today, they call everybody Ajam or Ajami because they feel their language is so rich and beyond most languages. So I respected the language of revelation more. I respect all languages for that matter. But the language that Allah have chosen for revelation is beyond what we are thinking. And the best of all the languages in terms of sending revelation to convey the exact word, to make sense and to sound good into your ears is the Arabic language. Sometimes people read the Quran, even though you don't understand the Quran as it's being read, you still appreciate the word. You still appreciate the word, the way the wording is being sent down, and the sense that it made, and the picture that you get when you reason and ponder upon the verses. You could clearly see this is not how human beings arrange their languages. This is beyond humans. So we'll leave that at that. The next item is about the protective layer of the heavens, which we don't see. It is also an unchallenge because men who specialize on the atmospheric, situation, because the moment you leave the earth atmosphere, you enter into a different realm. The atmosphere is different. It's not the same as here. So if you have 100-story building in the United States and other countries, we have even more than that, 100-story building. The temperature up there, like the Empire State Building, over 100, story. The former World Trade Center, 115 and 110. The Petrolysis Building, which is in Malaysia, it's 135-story building we're talking about. So if you are in your 4-story building, you feel big. Man, please. There are over 100-story buildings, all the way up. And if you look down, you see people like ants. Yes, I was on top of Empire State Building. I don't know how many times. Many times. You look down, you see people small. I was on 112 building. Story building. Yes, small. So people have 4-story building and they boast, man. Yo, man, I got give them bisa. You know what I'm saying? All the way up there. You go like this, looking at everybody, man. So Allah said, in a scenario I'm going to give, Allah said, وَفَوْقَ كُلُّ ذِي إِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. Above all, anyone who is knowledgeable, there is someone knowledgeable than him. No one is perfect. Allah is perfect. That comes to what I'm trying to say about the highest realm of the heaven that Allah have mentioned. That there is a protective layer which we cannot see. Which you keep looking and looking, you don't see. But specialists who specialize on the atmospheric pressure, they know that we have a protective layer protecting the earth atmosphere as a whole. The whole globe is protected. From what? From bombardment. Because we have so many stars and comets and asteroids and energies and some planets that have lost their energy, they lose their work, they are done. They're moving straight, wide, dangerously in the heavens. They're moving so fast. They could come and crush the earth. You know how you crush a tiny ant? These supersonic speed creation of Allah could come and stampede the earth. It is like nothing to them. So Allah protected us from all this bombardment. Some are releasing heavyweight, fire spark coming out of them. Some have lost their energy and they are going haywire. They could drop on earth, finish. It's like you see a fly, you hit it, it died. Which you don't have to do. The same thing, some planets will come and drop on earth, finish. Nothing will happen. It's like nothing. So Allah protected us. The first person that hypothesized that there is a protective layer protecting the Earth atmosphere is Professor Van Allen. So when scientists tested his hypothesis, they believed in it. Before they were like, oh, well, we don't know. We have to find out if it is true or not. Professor Van Allen, thank you very much for doing such a wonderful job. But right now, what we got to do is we're going to find out and see before it comes out as an established empirical fact. We're going to have to challenge it. So they did, and lo and behold, they came out to realize that indeed there are some protective layer that is guiding or protecting the earth, sealed. Just like you have a, your room in your house, you have a ceiling to protect you from the rain. We have the same thing up in the atmosphere. So when they realized the truth of Professor Van Allen, they called that layer the Van Allen belt or the magnetosphere. It magnified the whole earth, protecting us from heat radiation and so many, gamma rays and monster rays that might come to earth and disturb us. So this protective layer, that's why we are protected. Science celebrated this information. And the Quran mentioned that. وَجَعَلْنَا السَّمَاءَ سَقْفًا مَخْفُوزًا وَهُمْ عَنْ آيَاتِهَا مُغْرِضُونَ. We set up, Allahu Akbar. Man, oh man, this Quran, man, is unchallenged. Allah said, we set up a protective layer. We, وَجَعَلْنَا السَّمَاءَ سَقْفًا مَخْفُوزًا, protected. وَهُمْ عَنْ آيَاتِهَا مُغْرِضُونَ. Yet still, you are playing fast and loose with our ayat. How could Muhammad know that there is a protective layer protecting us from bombardment? There are so many of them, but the particular one that is protecting our earth is the magnetosphere or the Van Allen belt. How could the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So Quran will always demystify intellectuals. It will demystify them. Yes, I'm going to take a break. I see you guys, you want to keep me, I can see some of you, even though you want me to keep going and going and going. No, I'm going to stop here and take some few break, and I'm going to come back. The number is this, that you could WhatsApp me, 024-584-2728, 024-584-2728. And before we go, we would have to